But I just think right now about the people who are, probably in similar shoes as you were not too long ago. Current members that, for whatever reason, are right now watching this video or listening to this podcast, wherever they're at, and listening to this story, probably feeling all sorts of emotions right now of fear and confusion and all sorts of stuff. What would you say right now to a member who you can think that is feeling and thinking the same things that you were not too long ago, listening to these sort of stories? What would you say to them, I guess, to encourage them first to just keep listening and hear you out? But what would you say to them?
I would say listen to your heart, like just leave. But I can understand why some of them are hesitant because for me, and that's probably what some of them are feeling too, there was like different stages of that went on that led to me leaving. So the first one, I had, my doubts and things that were not making sense, and they knew about them and all of that. And so my spirit was gone. Like I would be keeping Sabbath and third days. I was just basically doing it out of routine. But then as soon as service was over, like I'm out. Like my spirit was no longer there. And the reason that I was still there because, there's that study that says apart from me, you can't do nothing. So a lot of members, they were probably thinking, well, if I'm not in the World Mission Society Church of God anymore, then like, where do I go? Where else could I go? And that was the thing that kept me there for the most when I was just checked out already, because I'm like, well, where am I going to go? I need to find another church. But then it was the Sabbath, because I strongly believed in the Sabbath. And I'm like, where am I going to find another church that I'm going to keep the Sabbath? There's no other churches that really keeps the Sabbath. So what? And so I stayed there. But then I realized, no, Berdine, you don't have to go anywhere. Like, take this time for yourself, heal, realize what you went through. You basically gave your life, good years to this church for that long. You don't have to go anywhere. So that's why I left, when I realized, no, I don't have to go anywhere if I leave the Church of God. So I left, and I'm still not going anywhere. So it's okay. So this is what I would say to members that are still pondering, like, should I leave or should I not? Should I stay? You don't have to go to another church. Look at me. Like, I'm fine. Like, I am living my best life after leaving the World Mission Society Church of God. People would think, oh, if they leave, something bad is going to happen to them. That's actually the same thing that my church leader told me. They came to my house and said, well, I know things are going to be hard for you because you decided to leave. And I was like, okay, thank you. But here I am. I have great opportunities ahead of me. Like, don't waste your life on this group. That's what I would say. Like, listen to your heart. If you feel like the things that you're experiencing are not right, leave, because you don't have to seek another church for you to feel like you're doing something right with your life.
I don't see lightning striking you. I don't see a plague of frogs in the background. I don't see a plague of locusts or darkness.
No.
I see somebody who looks like, you've come out of something hard, but you look happy. And I would assume you are more free inside and outside than you've been in a long time.
Very much so.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is probably the number one question I get asked from, I think, members who are on the verge of leaving is, where do I go? If we leave this church, then what? And there's sort of this assumption behind that question that even within the Christian thought and belief, that there has to be like one there's one church out there, one organization who has to have it all right, and I got to find that one church. And I think that's just a false assumption that I don't think is true. I think you're going to find elements of truth in a lot of different groups, but I guarantee you're never going to find one group who's got a monopoly on all the truth, who has it all figured out. And I think just look at Christianity itself, look at all the thousands of, denominations and different ways of interpreting the Bible and differences of doctrines, and realize that, nobody has this all figured out. And I think that's okay. I think if God wanted us to be 100% clear, he would have made it a little bit more easy for us to come all to the same conclusions about things. But I think you're absolutely right. It is totally fine and good to do what you're doing and to say, you know what, for a little bit, I'm just going to step back. I'm not going to go anywhere. And you know what, if you do that, again, lightning's not going to strike you. You're going to be okay. And, if God is the loving Father who the Bible talks about that he is, then why would the burden be on you or on me to figure out how to find him, right? Isn't he supposed to be the shepherd who comes and seeks us and finds us? So it's not your job to make sure you figure out the right place to be and the right place to go, and you get all the things right, or else, you're going to get blasted into hell. I don't think that's the God that we see in the Bible. The God of the Bible, what Jesus explains to us is that he's like a shepherd who, I think, seeks after those who are lost. And I don't think it's our job to have to figure that out. And so I think you're in a great place. And, I've heard of members who put their Bibles away for years because they can't even look at their Bible without it triggering all these emotions and these thoughts that the WMSCOG instilled in them. And so anyways, I'm really glad you shared that, because I know so many people have that question that they're just wrestling with. So.
And that's a good point. It shouldn't be a burden to me if I'm earnestly seeking God, for me to just go out there and put myself trying to find God when God knows that I'm seeking him, and that was one of the things towards the end too, because, you hear that all the time. This church is the truth. We should be we're so blessed because we're the only church in the world who has the truth. And in my head, towards the end, it just didn't resonate with me anymore, because I'm like, there's always two sides to every story. You say that we're the truth, but you guys withhold information from your members. So how are you the truth, but then you purposely withhold information from your members because you don't want it to come to the light, but yet you just want people to just accept and hear your side of the story. What about their side? And it just didn't sit well with me. I'm like, there's always two sides of every story. It's not just about you guys, because I'm sure the same way that, people that are in the World Mission Society Church of God thinks they have the truth. Trust me, the same feelings and emotions that you feel inside, another group will feel the same thing towards what they believe. Absolutely. If they think that it is the truth. So
exactly. That is such a good point. Such a good point that, for those of you, and I mean, and that's the case for any group. That's something that's hit me so hard, because we all, as religious people, we all get into these states of mind and emotions where we think, we sort of self-comfort. We comfort ourselves with this thought, this reminder of I'm in the truth. Mm-hmm. I've got it right. I'm the blessed one. I'm the one who's favored by God, and all these other poor people just don't have it right like I do. Mm-hmm. And really, when you step back and look at that, you see how much arrogance and how much self-centeredness there is in that, to think that of all the billions of people in the world, I'm the one who got into, the in group somehow, and everybody else is outside on their way to hell. Mm-hmm. But that's the way you just worded that everybody in those different groups, whether you're a Mormon, a Jehovah's Witness, even an evangelical Christian, wherever you're at, everybody is comforting themselves with that same sort of thought of
Right.
I'm in the truth. I've got the truth, and those people over there are lost, and I need to save them. And everybody's thinking that about each other. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't truth to some of these things, but it should at least make people step back and say, how do I really know that what I'm believing is true? Because everybody thinks that what they believe is true. So how do I know I got it right? And and that's kind of where you got. So I think that's great that you were able to recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so much. Like I never thought I'd be in this position. Even till now, like I haven't opened my Bible. Like all the stuff, like I have a World Mission Society bag. And all the stuff that I have, like they're still intact. Like my veil, my new song, the Bible, all of that. Like I have not yet to open a Bible because like it's still fresh to me. I cannot hear a verse without thinking about how they would like interpret that verse. Yep. So I'm still and I guess I'm still healing.